time to look at how to compare two different sets of results if you've done a pre-post test or you've repeated a quiz or an assessment again to see how students are progressing over time. Maybe you want to measure skills, improvement, track progress. If you head to the assessments tab and you see that you've got a pre and a post and you want to compare them, that's easily enough done. Today, I'm going to be using the sample report, which you can do yourself if you've not done a pre or a post test yet. So under the assign button, I'm going to the sample report, and I'm going to compare the genetic variation pre and post test. So bring up a test that you have done just by clicking on it and heading to the report. So this is our data of how the student did in the pre-test. Once I've done the post test, I can now use, just to the right of this bar graph, the compare results button. When I click that, it'll bring up any other quizzes or assessments I've done and list them with a clickable link. I can quickly glance through and see how many of the students match and how many of the questions or the content assigned matches. If it's 100% match for content, I know it's an exact copy. And if most of the students match, that's great, it's the same class. So I'm going to bring up the post test, and now it's going to generate a side-by-side comparison report of how my students have done. I can print this at the top, which is nice to print, and you can save it as a PDF rather than physically printing if you want the PDF version. And you can take snippets or screenshots for any of your own reporting at the end. So what I've got in here, I've got my pre-test on the left. I can see how my students did in genetic variation before teaching. And then again at the end, I can see how they've done after the teaching in a post-test. I can see the spread of results from pre to post and see how the results have increased in all quartiles and how some of that spread of student results has tightened up as well, bringing up that bottom part. I can see a side-by-side grade distribution comparison from pre to post to see how students have done and see how that shift has occurred on that bar graph. And then things I like to see, particularly as a teacher, my students. This is arranged from students that have seen the most at the top down to the least change, but you can filter by surname if you want to see it like your role. So my students have seen the most change at 75% increase from pre to post, all the way down to students that have seen the least amount of increase, 73, so probably not very significant. You'll notice as you get towards the top, they can be quite significant. And if you want to see really in detail, like what about the student, if you want individual reports, you can click on the name and it will show you the student's individual comparison and even the areas within that test where they saw the hugest amount of change, but even some areas where maybe there wasn't an increase and there's still some work to be done. So even the students that improved, if they're wanting things to continue working on, you can still find that. Really good for one-on-one conferences with students, parent-teacher conferences, or just priority student data as well. I'm going back to compare assessment. Scroll down to the final section at the bottom. So if I was looking at my teaching of a topic from pre to post in areas where maybe I need to continue doing some follow-up teaching, revision, anything more before a final summative assessment, the most amount of change I saw with teaching pre to post. So it will tell you if these results are statistically significant based on the pool of questions asked and if the change was quite significant from the pool in the class. The structure of DNA saw the biggest increase in this at 52.6%, a big shift, whereas even the smallest shift, homologous chromosomes, was still statistically significant, but a much smaller shift. I can see overall that homologous chromosomes has the least amount of all the areas in the post-test. So if I was going to be doing any follow-up, I'd probably find a few extra questions in my revision that really focuses in on that area. At any point, you can export any results as CSV spreadsheets, but you've got that print PDF button at the top. Enjoy mining through and looking through all that data.